Good morning. Coming to you Friday, November 9th, 2018 at 04 hours and 43 minutes. I'm no more amazed by, I'm not saddened. I am not, almost not sickened by a lot of things, and no more amazed by what goes on in this world. There are a few things that I find very, like, sad by. From this year alone, from the last 10 years of what I never thought about how social media was going to be the big enforcer. Just like it's, so I had to think about it too. Like, well, because movies did it, music did it, so why wasn't social media able to do it? And they killed it. They became the number one seller. Anything that had to do with socialness, like going out, like actually interacting with people, it became the internet. So no longer you have to go out and interact with people. You can stay on the computer, say what you want to say, and knowing as a person that I'm a real person, somebody behind the computer can be a spammer, a troller, artificial intelligence that's created to only mimic what you say, whether it's positive or negative. And as the people, we have no idea who's behind the information. We have no idea who the. Then if it's when it's a person, another real person, a being, we don't have no idea who they are. Whether they're actually being positive or negative on purpose. Then we don't know if it's a man or a woman. So that amazed me how social media, when you don't even see the person, or no, it's like the person, a real person behind the camera, and it became the issue. Like we want to talk about social issues so much, and the easiest place now is to go to social media. And then the divide is so strong. Then that whatever they're advertising to the propaganda, the order, the rules, the agenda, it works. I am also as a African descent, indigo, and native descent man. It is amazed how racism feel like it. And then if you look out, it seems like it's the same. But in the same, I feel like they still lying to us that it's not the same. And see, that's the double cleandre of how it sounds. It's not the same as the 1950s, but it is the same. Because I say it's the same because I experienced it. At the high level, I experienced physical, so the racism, the action, and then racist. It's the verbal, the more blatant. I'm out in the open about it. Then the racism usually is hidden, and it's so much still within the youth. So it's no longer now. We keep saying that happened years, thousands of years ago, and it's like, well, look at our children. The residue is still here because the acts that occurred was so heinous, so horrific. The tragedies, the struggles, you can still see on working within our society, and it's still not a separation. I can be free, but I know I'm not going to have to make up that. Wow, you really did treat me different by the color of my skin. Another thing that I'm no longer amazed by how men and women in our race are towards each other, even though I don't feel it, but then I do. Because in actual real time, real life, is realistic. I can hear women say, "I hate black men." I spoke to a woman the other day. She's very beautiful. I think she was single, but didn't make it that far. I just left her alone after she said, "I don't like black men." She's darker than me. I was like, man, this race thing is really like a plague. Like it is really toxic the way we treat each other and how we come out. We is breeded, nurtured, and fostered within other families that's not of our race, and then we come to our race is fostered and breeded, and it's like, whoa, we not gonna get out the curse or the gospel, the spells, the incantations that's made us hate each other. I remember I worked a job like two girls, like they was 18 because I didn't. One was 17, one was 18. No, 18 and 19, or 17 and 19, and they was dark skinned girl. They loved it, the opposite race. I was like, oh, they didn't say nothing about their own race, but one was just so excited. And when we was talking, she was like, I love white boys. I was like, okay. She's like, I really like, oh my God, you can't take one away from me. And I was like, okay, that's good. I'm just sitting there like, okay. And even today, I went back into my old archives of videos I watched before in the last 3, 4 years. And I was like, I always been the way I was, but I can truly say I am honored by myself. I'm honored that, thank you, that I was finally able to see in my life. Some young men died being, didn't know how somebody, people don't think that matters. Like these people that passed away, I'm gonna have to say this real quick. And these young men never heard no man or woman, especially a family member, not honoring them. But this is I'll say like the way I am. You see, I don't go to bash. I out the wrong. If you're wrong, I'm outing you. I'm telling on you. I'm a tattletale. I'm a snitch. I'm that way for a reason because I notice the way the world is in the society, how they treat people. Every person experience a part of life more some than others that they shouldn't experience. I don't care if it was on the lowest level or the highest, most, the lowest negative level or the highest negative level. So they vibrations and frequency gonna be all the way negative to the point where you can't say nothing to that person. But it was always something that brought them there. It was this action, this is one situation, this event. But we choose to ignore it. I don't defend pedophiles. I don't defend rapists. But we all forget where they came from. When a young man rape a young lady, I look at the parent. How did your son get to this point? Or when a young lady rape a young man, how did you get to this? How did your daughter get to this point? Now, as an adult, we forget that whatever was being taught in that home, this is why it's no more. I'm no more amazed, and we like to ignore this part. Somehow, magically, some magic was some happening that this person, or I don't like saying magic because that's part of this. Like I don't like to use word like magic, and yeah, look up those like find the true meaning of those words. And I just learned the word bully. The original word bully was to mean brotherly love, but somehow it changed over in the 15 or 17. No, it changed over in the 1800s. I want to take remember from that. In the 1500s up to the 1700s, it still meant brotherly love. It didn't mean bully until more the. See this later. I learned a lot of between the 13th and 1800. So much like corruption was rampant for like 2,000 years. The world changed, and right now, and this is what I understood. Like philosophers, researchers, and archaeologists, why nobody actually take time out to study things like that? Like, wow, the change of the world happened within 2,000 years. Well, not 2,000 years, no, 200 years. 200 years. 266 years to be exact. So change of there's 266 laws and 266 religions. Think about that. So these people grow up to be adults, a man or a woman adult, or a woman adult, and you see what they're doing. And we automatically forget and say that childhood didn't affect them. They're adults. Stop. That is wrong. So if you taught a child how to be as, even though there's children that don't become that, you're going to recognize that the other child was influenced. It was very influenced by, and it had a great affluence that this affected this child. You can see it in some child, like the number one thing, since it's the worst heinous act you can do is murder. You can see it in these child murderers. You can look into their eyes, like, what was you allowing this child to do, and what was you not guarding and parenting your child on? And people don't think about this. The way you parent the child, whether you're positive or negative or you does nothing, that is the outcome of your child. The end result, everything is done in the parenting, which is why what we see now is come from a lot of this toxic corruption, emotional feeling of psychology. I hear people. I used to see this too, and it didn't change. It got worse. A women didn't. Women don't like. I'm use the word like. They don't admire. They don't appreciate. They don't want good men. Don't hit me with the people that go out there race. Stop. Now I'm doing interviews. Everybody that went on a race, out of their race, they learned a lot of things a little differently. But one thing I noticed, the facet, the garnish, and the grooming of love was never there. It was more of the same things what attract women to a man. Whether you want to, whether we want to know it or not, she didn't. Her attraction did not change. It didn't change. She still stood for the same disorder. What was her disorder? So when I hear of the young black woman, I don't like I hate black men, or I enjoy the other race of men. I'm done with my race. I look at her family, then I say, what disorder? You have a disorder. You don't even realize it. And then when you have a disorder, you defend it even when it don't make sense. So we taught the young women they're special. No account of their wrong. So we teach the women that there's no account for their wrong. What you doing to think they're going to do at 30? You think they're going to see that now when somebody like say, hey, you were wrong. You think she's really going to accept that she was actually wrong? If a young man told he was to be higher in the fight and do what he had to do to get money, you think he's going to see any wrong in that? And you think he's going to have, and then in some of the people I've noticed too, when they do go back and find out they're wrong, they have some remorse. They don't have a full remorse because what we allow them to do is to take what they need to do to be more productive and to understand, and we cover it up. We cover up their tracks. It's like in the court system, it's called giving them a less of a sentence, a less of a punishment. You charge them with all these charges, but in the court of law, some of the charges won't stand because they could defend them. So that's what we do. We defend a lot of the charges; they won't stand. So allow the person to not be fully aware of their disorder. So you're gonna learn now. You ignore some of those charges, so that person didn't get punished for all the charges. So when they come out, the ones they mainly got punished on, they're gonna have a remorse for, and the ones that they didn't get punished for, it's gonna be no correction because it won't be no. Then let's say if you're gonna be rehabilitated, and most rehabilitations you're only gonna rehabilitate what you kind of work on them the main things, and then if you see anything in between, but you don't put the same energy, the same time in. So you're going to rehabilitate those things, but those other things he or she's not being rehabilitated for. So there's no recoverance. They're not recovering from all the other wrong that they did. And that's what's been allowed. And we got to stop allowing people to get away. To me, when I see a cheater, a man or a woman that left their children out to hang, and they chose to create a family, not the ones that we think every man, because he's not with a woman, he's abandoned his child. That's not true. A lot of the times, the men, and I doing a lot of men I talk to that do, or that not, we're not the good fathers. I like to bring that up to men too. So women, stop saying men don't ask women this, or policemen. We do a lot. But on social media, we don't go out of our way like women do, because that's women feel like they don't have a voice. So that was another lie that women was taught on social media to go out. But in person, and even in person, what we do, men that actually don't do a lot of things, they disassociate themselves with those men. I disassociated my guy, the guy that called me his friend. I don't know how he called me his friend. And the way he acted towards me, and the way he acted towards women, I am disassociating myself from him. We don't gotta go make a publicity stunt or event or do some crazy things to say I don't want to be around you no more. We just don't be around that person no more. That's how we deal with those men. Eventually they get it. And a lot of men, a lot of us are okay with that because 90% of men are taught to be alone. Women are not taught to be alone. Not saying that's a bad or a good thing, but what it's doing, it's easy to separate and divide in our society within this system they put on us, these spells and curses. And no longer that is, and like it's sickening about children getting kidnapped. And what are they being used for? Sex trafficking now? And if you go by other cultures, other civilizations, other countries, other nations, they're birthing their children and then sending them off to sex trafficking. If it's true. So in Thailand and Bangkok, a daughter was born. They already have a daughter. What they need the other daughter, and needed to pay off some type of debt. They give the other daughter into those people for her to make money. And she works as a child. It's a slave. It's in sex or whatever she's doing to make money. That's not sex, but sex get involved because she grow older and those men is already perverted and they're already doing this. They're not checked. See, those men went rampant. They're not checked. But in the society those men run rampant because they're not checked. Because you'll say men not checking them. No, we are checking them. The women is still allowing them to be that way. So we still in the era where I keep saying where women say I like good men, and they've gotten so hurt and tired, they're not wanting to be with a man. Or they'll rather go out and think that's going to solidify or make that better. It's easy to go to the unknown. I'm out in the big city, so if I go in the jungle, it's probably most likely easy. It's easier to go in the jungle. I don't know nothing about the jungle. I don't have to accept the ways of the jungle because I don't know the ways of the jungle. And whatever happens in the jungle is like they say, stays in the jungle. So I'm not going to be weary of that other type of man over here than I am here because I don't have any information on it. Like, I only deal with African descent, native, indigo descent women. I don't have a true, like, women are not just women where they're raised and born and the race is real, ethnicity and nationality. They're different. But I'm not going to allow red flags that, so if I meet a African, native, indigo descent woman, a Middle Eastern, Asian, or Hispanic, Latino, or of a Spanish nature, culture, or of a different culture, or whatever other nationalities, ethnicities are, I'm not going to say, "Wow, that's wrong," but I'm going to ignore that for that person. And I respect and love me already. I don't have to give any person, no, I never did it. So I'm not going to start now. And that's what a lot of us do. Another things that have changed, or haven't changed, but got stronger, it's older, is being aware of my finances, which has gotten a lot better, and make it aware And I'd advise and like to parents, counsel the child. I learned a lot of children. I was a child, a lot of teenagers, when you get to not a child, even children, 16-year-old. I don't call it really 15, 14. I leave in the house because they're not listening. But you never disciplined them. People, I hear a lot of stories talking about, I disciplined, I did my best. Well, that's fine and dandy, but you were a parent. You were supposed to be watching over this child that you helped. They're going to always be your child, right? So why would it change when they become older? No, it's not based on they're grown. They're not grown. What have they done? What have you showed them to be grown? And that's the part where it's baffling me because I'm watching people, I'm looking at people. I was like, well, my mother didn't. She said a lot of things, but oh, she didn't know everything. So how was she supposed to teach me everything? Or she didn't have the basics understanding. So how my mother was supposed to teach me about credit cards and she don't have credit cards? Please riddle me this. And why would I find fault in my mother when she didn't know? The only beef I had is when she figured out like I didn't know at a certain age. She was so quick to put me out and didn't understand that that was not the greatest thing to do. But I left on my own in a way. Parents like my child, they're gonna leave. Why would tell my child that's 18 that just graduated high school they gotta leave the house? I don't know what income. I know good and damn well that 90% of 18-year-olds don't have an income to support themselves, let alone a 21-year-old. From 18 to 21, I didn't know that's all of a sudden you fashioned or garnished a way to support yourself all of a sudden. I don't care how much you're talking about paying bills and going to work and getting a job. You still don't know anything. Why are you leaving the house? That never made sense to me. And it still don't. People are like, wait till you have children. Well, I know when I have a child, I get to birth my child. So I get to see my child grow and get older. See, unlike your child, I can send them back home to you and you still have to show them things. No matter how much I show them while they're away from home, they still need the home to have a great example, and it got a big impact on them. Some more things that I am never amazed by is going back to psychology, the logic of people. I'm not amazed no more of how you can hurt someone. It can make sense, but another person do it, they're wrong. And then I learned so many things in this world, but I pretty much touched the things that I wanted to talk about. And I'll say this world is it's a mother effort, as we say it, as I hear it, as I know it to be. What holds true is true. And I say it like that. What holds true is true. What holds. So whatever you hold on to will always be true. But that even if I don't hold on to some things that are not true, it still can be true because I'm not the only person in this world. I see what everybody else goes through. I just now in some cases I cannot accept, even though I know that's why that's happening. For myself, I cannot accept it. I either defend it verbally or physically, or I disassociate myself because that is what I hold true and my moral values and ethics staying positive and good. I'm not saying I'm better. How people say, oh, you think you better? No. Why? I never sold drugs. I never done drugs. Why would I sit in the midst of a person that does this and no matter they know is wrong, even though they was brought up like this, they know it's wrong and they're still doing it. I can tell them they're wrong, and after so long, all right, you so much wrong, you're not changing. Okay, I gotta leave you alone. But I'm not going to defend you, and that's the thing about me. I'm not going to defend wrong. If you say, OJ, you're wrong, I'm wrong. I can't defend that. I can't even I'm not even going to defend myself on the wrong. Why would I defend another? And why would I cover? Oh, a lot of stupidity words. Oh, free him, free her. What? That I never got. Free the person that committed a crime. I remember a lady tried to say, what about the guy that's in prison for selling weed, like on the block, and that was part of his lifestyle? I said, as he was and as I were, I knew right from wrong. Just everybody learned by the age of 8. Age of 8 is the age of knowing, of understanding, to getting like, oh, okay, this is right, this is wrong. Okay, if I hit this hammer against this glass, it's gonna break. Or if I push this, it's gonna break. If I It's like the age you're starting to understand. That's knowing. So this young man had an opportunity to know just like I did. And he knew that was wrong. Because he already heard, well, man, I know it's stupid. I know they try to change the law. I'm not about to argue with somebody like, well, the law said, well, I know a lot of things were said. But are we covering? Are we masking the truth? Even though we know it have a lot of truth in that. Because what we hold to be true is true. He was doing drugs. He was selling drugs, and he got in trouble for. It's a law stated what not to do. I'm not saying that it's a type of control, but you knew what was going to send you to jail or prison, and I'm not going to argue that, because that's like saying I knew I have to pay my rent, and I use my money for other things that's not going to help me. I knew if I don't pay my rent, I might get a chance of not being able to live at this place no more. I can't defend that. I'm not going to be, and I call it a double sided edge, because it's knowledge. It's an edge. What edge am I giving myself? I'm going to put myself now. Edge is I can be over the edge to hurt myself, or I can get close to the edge to make myself aware. Hold on, stop. I need to like turn back around and get away from the edge. Basically, self, I'm giving myself an advantage, or I'm not. I'm lessening myself by giving myself a disadvantage. So I have to take that into account. Am I giving myself advantage, or I'm not? And I actually heard people talking about, well, the merits of Martin Luther King is the same merits of a dude in the hood hurting and destroying the community. I was like, yeah, that's the same merits. Basically, say it was an honor that the ones you speak about went to prison. Why haven't you been to prison or jail? Because if I listen to the ones that I follow and I'm honored by, would you not? I'm going to take their wise words. Why would I go to jail? Not being funny, wouldn't that be counterproductive, or would not be that would not be we'd be digressing, going back down, not moving forward, not meeting a higher mark if I went to jail or prison as Martin Luther King for fighting for rights, for fairness, or to make aware in my community or surrounding neighboring awareness within politics, awareness of this is wrong. Would that not be? He said that if I'm going to be greater than him, should I not take his knowledge and expound and expand on it? Why would I do the exact same things? That never made sense. You know what I love when people say I think very differently, and I appreciate that. Thank you. I take that as an honor. And some people that do not do, I say thank you. It's like I'm not saying that in a good way. I know I'm saying thank you because you did acknowledge I'm not thinking like you, and you did acknowledge through the conversation that we had different perspectives, and you. I'm saying thank you because you were able to realize that, and they look at me funny. I was like, let me explain this a little more, and I get more time, and I tell them like now another chance I see. I was like, no, I was acknowledging that your perspectives was different, and you acknowledged that you noticed it. You didn't acknowledge that let's keep arguing and fighting. It would become mute. It won't serve us no purpose because we're understanding one another. It's like, I don't understand you. I was like, yes, you did. You don't even see it. And then that's when I learned. That's what is the greatest guy I hold as a king, Martin Luther King Jr. That's even in his name, and Brother Malcolm as kings. they acknowledge their differences. They acknowledge that they had different perspectives, and not one perspective was right and one was wrong, even by their views, and they got to understand one another. Because until we can understand that my view and perspective is not the same as yours, but I can see it. Once you finally can see it, that's when we finally can start. That's a foundation. Creating, forming, and building. And nobody noticed that. We got to understand. We might agree. So I don't need merits, but the dude that's getting the honor, it is the ones that's doing more the corruption to the communities, the toxicness that's creating more toxicity. So it's no balance. It's no balance within our neighboring surroundings. So you're gonna find the struggles of oppression and suppression to be the same, and maybe compression, casting over. So the more we get back to understanding of what caused what is sick, it's no more. We're no longer. I'm no longer amazed or sickened by a lot of things. I haven't cried in 2 years. I'm not mad. Remember, I heard a lady say she didn't cry in 2 years. I was like, what was the cry for? Because at the time I was in church, and I was like, and I was being funny, and she just kind of looked at me funny. I was like, why thou weepest? She just kind of looked at me. She's like, what you were weeping for? And if you're gonna go by that, I gave you no. There's no reason to weep. I don't weep over sadness or pain or happiness or joy. I weep, and you had to figure that out. I never took account more, but I know I don't weep, and I learned within my spirit. I don't weep because I have no reason to weep. To pouring down of tears out of my face, I have no reason because I'll rather draw understanding than to weep to release my. I want to release my understanding, not to release the pain. Because you gotta look at the word release. Nobody never thought about that. To get through, you don't release because all you're doing is reactivating it. You're releasing it. And I spoke on this. I'll release. Pay attention. Think about the words that you're using. Just like the word read. What two words make a read? Re-add. Never thought about that one, have you? It's not a play on words, but that's how the words are put together. So start thinking about how, and this is to me, this is a conscious. I don't say con is the trick. I'm say conscious. Cast over your mind, your brain, and your outlook of why do you don't feel hurt no more when you know in the times of you should feel hurt, regardless of who the person is, their race, creed, color, their preference, their sexuality. Why don't you feel hurt? Another one to challenge yourself on is why the mentality you have is a double standard to you. Example, when you or another person wrong, you like to defend wrongness instead of saying, well, this is wrong and leave it at that. Let the other people say, well, that's wrong, and allow the wrong to be cast away. It can be kicked away so it won't be reactivated and accessed anymore by the next generations. So we don't have to say you're bad. You can say you good. Like we use the word bad. She a bad woman. No, I like to use the word gorgeous. And some women, I like you just you epitomize of what a woman is. You are the greatest example. You are the show of all shows because I never seen a woman smile like you. And that's rare. So, and still we start taking the time out to individually point out the individuals and check them, put them in a place. I know they're wrong. We're going to continue this toxic cycle of disorders of our psyche. Our psyche. We gotta have all these psychological disorders. It's not cool. I find a lot of them sickening. Like the woman telling her, "Why won't you go fight? Why you also hanging around me?" Because she want love in a certain way, but the love he is giving is the same way, but it's not in her fashion. It's not fashion, or it's not fashioned for her. So you leave her alone. But the love she's fashioned is very dangerous to the next generation, cause she like abuse. She like abuse now. I'm gonna use liking this because that's where it's associated to. She like abuse, the curse, the spell of abuse to the next generation. Her son or daughter are going to see this, and this guy is verbally, mentally, emotionally, or even financially abusive. And the way to be financially abusive, if you a woman or if you a man and the person you with, all they do is spend your money. You go to work, they're driving your vehicle, they're using your money. They have no honor or respect of the things you're doing to better your lives together. That is abuse. That is financial abuse. She'll spend all your money, have her money in the pocket, or spend all your money knowing that it's going to hurt you later. That is financial abuse. You're not able to pay certain bills. You're not able to do certain things to further your livelihood. That's financial abuse. So start thinking about all those things. Remember, you have a focus, purpose, mission, and position. And within that, start looking at the foundation. What make up the foundation of what you want to do? And it's you. So how can you improve you? What is being created around you? What atmosphere are you creating for the children, your wife, your girlfriend, your mother, your sister, brother, cousin, aunts, nephew, nieces, nephews, your family, friends, associates? What are you creating around you? What kind of atmosphere? What kind of environment? What are you producing? You're building or forming. What are you forming? Are you forming the hearts of good, kindness? Understand aggression should work in certain situations. Are you forming to be better? Are you forming a way of life that can continue on in an inheritance or a legacy of you? And what are you building? What you're building? What you building for? Are you building a single home house? It's just an example. Not saying it's going to be you want 4 children. Are you building for 4 children? Are you first before the children there? Are you building with your woman? Are you sharing your family, your friends around you? Are you building with them to understand this is our life? Like family game night is an example. That is a night you always choose to bring the family together. Make sure the family eat dinner together. When the children come home or people come over, do you share your views? Or is there a time for a place where a person can grow on their own? You got to think about all these things. But it's easy because if you're already doing it for yourself, why is it not so easy to do it towards everything else? What I say unto one, I say unto all. It's your path, it's your choice, it's your journey. Please choose wisely, be within yourself, and stop allowing society to tell you who you are and what you are. A lot of people you've seen, you don't know what they did to get there. And you know the things that they truly did to get to where they at. You don't know. I don't want to walk in somebody else's shoes. I don't want to be another person. I don't want to go back in time. I just want to know that within me I am able and I can do it. Shalom.